Welcome to the Relaxed Dog Podcast, the podcast where the dogs are the stars of the show. Welcome to episode 67 of the Relaxed Dog Podcast, sponsored by therelaxeddog.com. Thank you very much for finding this show. I am your host, Robert Ober, and I hope that you and your dog are well. My guest this week is Rachel Spencer. But first, in some doggy news, we go to Singapore, and a post that has been getting a little bit of attention is a gentleman pulling up in a public car park, taking out his German Shepherd and then shedding him, leaving a lot of fur around and then leaving. And that's not good to do really anywhere. So I guess just be careful of what your dog is leaving around, be conscious of it, and inevitably someone's going to film it and put it on social media. So keep that in the back of your mind. Now we go over to Alabama in the USA, where Ludovine, I hope I've said that correctly, a 2.5-year-old bloodhound, was let out to go to the toilet. Not far away were a whole lot of people getting ready for the Egmont Trackless Half Marathon. Ludovine went over, investigated, and when all the runners took off, so did she, and kept going and kept going. She kept up with the lead runners. There were a few remarks saying that she'd stop off and have a play in a little river or something like that, and I think she chased some cows, but runners kept looking around, and she was still there. She eventually finished the half marathon in 7th place. So well done, Ludovine, and some laid back dog people and guardians in that area. Now, just before we get into this week's feature interview, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and also it'd be great if you could hit that share button so that more people understand how awesome dogs are. Anyway, here's this week's interview. Welcome to the Relaxed Dog Podcast. I am here with Rachel Spencer. How are you this morning?
I'm really good, thanks. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you very much. Do you want to let people know whereabouts in the world you are?
I will do, yes. And thank you so much for having me on the show as well, Robert. It's brilliant to be here. So I am in Newcastle in the UK. So Newcastle is a city in the northeast of England, and it's really dog friendly. And I'm here chatting to you from one of my partner's children's bedrooms, with Patch in the corner. He's already flashed his bum on screen as we were chatting before you hit the record button. So yeah, I'm here and I've got Patch in the background, and I'm looking forward to talking a lot about him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing a lot about him. So as per usual, I'm going to ask for you to take us back in time to just before you met Patch and talk to us about the hows and whys that meeting happened.
Okay, so, wow. So I have, before I met Patch, we had another dog. Patch is a terrier. He's called a Patterdale Terrier, and he's a mix of Border Terrier, Parsons Jack Russell, so the ones with the longer legs, regular Jack Russell, and Wire Fox Terrier. And before Patch came into our world, we had another Patterdale Terrier called Daisy, who was really similar to him in the breed mix-up. And we lost her in April 2018. And I'd had Daisy for like 9 years. She was my first dog of my own. And obviously, you can imagine I was completely devastated. And after we'd kind of got over, after we'd kind of picked ourselves up a little bit from losing Daisy, we always knew we wanted to have another dog. And I think this is quite common, isn't it? When you lose one dog, you want to literally get like the carbon copy of them so they look the same and all of those things. And we went around the dog shelters here in the UK, like where I live right now in Newcastle and also where my mum is. We couldn't, and we were struggling really. My partner's got 2 children who were quite young at the time, and we wanted a smaller dog, so a terrier size, but we weren't finding any suitable ones. So Tommy found this Facebook group called Patterdale Terrier Rehoming. And he was like, oh, Rachel, you need to come and have a look at this Facebook group, because we knew that we wanted this particular breed. And I was like, oh, I really wanted to get a dog from a shelter, and I'll have a look at this Facebook group, because obviously they need rehoming. So a dog, they need a home, and that's it. So I went on this group, looked around, and there was all these different posts. Some people were trying to find a dog. Some people were trying to rehome a dog. And I was like, okay. So the admin sent me a message and said, hi, thanks for joining. Do you want to set up a little, put a post up, say a little bit about you and what you're looking for? So I did that. And I put this profile up and I said, I'm Rachel, I live here with my partner who's got 2 young children. We've just lost our dog Daisy and we'd love to find another dog. And I hope, really looking forward to being in the group and all that kind of stuff. And then about an hour later, and this was like the day I joined, I got a tag notification. And one of the admins were lovely. They sent me a message and they said, oh, really great to have you in the group. We'll keep a lookout for you. And all this. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And it was still a really emotional time. Anyway, I got this tag and it said, hi, Rachel, what about Patch? And honestly, I'm getting a bit emotional talking to you about it now, because I remember looking at this screen and seeing this little face looking out of the screen at me. And I was like, and my heart skipped a beat. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's so sweet. And I read about him and there was a picture of him. There was a couple of pictures of him, one of him with his ball, another one with his brother, his litter brother, George. And basically what had happened was his owner had died and he was being cared for by her son-in-law, who actually had his brother, George, so his litter brother, Paul, looked after, that was Paul's dog. And he'd taken Patch in, but they weren't able to have more than one dog. So they were all absolutely devastated. So that's what happened just before I met him. And I was like, oh my word, this dog, he looks so lovely. And I got Tommy and said, oh, look, what do you think? What do you think about Patch? And he's like, okay, yeah, I think he looks really lovely too. And then I was like, okay, so then I messaged the guy who was Paul, the guy who was rehoming him, and said, oh, this is me. And I've seen him in the group and I just wondered if I've done a post here. I just wondered what your thoughts were and if you think we might be suitable. So that's where it started. I'm sorry for going off on one so much.
No. So were they far away from you?
Yeah, so we live up in Newcastle in the northeast and they live in Manchester, which is about 3 hours drive away, about 170 miles away. I'm not very good at geography, but anyway, that's how far away they were. And they had said in the post that they wanted him to stay in the Manchester area. However, my mum I used to live in Warrington, which is a few miles away, and I go and visit my mum quite a lot as well. So I did say when I messaged, I said, I know you want him to stay in the Manchester area, but I am from Lynn, which is a few villages away from basically where he was. And I go home quite a lot, so I can keep in touch and we can, if you did want to see him, I can bring him to see you and all these things. And it was basically like, I was just like, oh my gosh, please, please, please consider me. Please, this dog looks so lovely. Just, I just hope you're going to give us a chance. And I was basically like when you're in a job interview or something, you're so desperate and you're just saying all of these things and you want all the things to be right. And I was like, oh my God, what can I do to demonstrate to this guy that I can give this dog the perfect home? So that was what it was like, really. So then we had a call and then I went to meet him.
How was that?
Oh my gosh. Well, it was, I literally had the phone call with Paul. And as I say, it was like I was on the job interview and I was like, this is me and I've got, we live in this place and we go on all these dog-friendly holidays and I've got a pet blog. So it was quite helpful because I was able to say, look, we've got this. I know it might sound a bit crazy because I'm, a 42-year-old woman or whatever I was at the time. So, but I love dogs and it's my work and my life and everything. And I've got a pet blog and I can show you if you want to have a look at like some of the travel things that I've written about our old dog Daisy, the kind of things that we enjoy and stuff. And God knows what this guy must have thought. But anyway, I think I demonstrated that, I'd try and give his dog a nice life. So we had the call and I went to see him. Tommy came with me and we went to the house and it was, again, you're like so nervous, aren't you? We went to the house Tommy came in briefly because he had a work appointment. So we both went in and said hello, and Patch and George were there. And they were like these two boisterous little terriers. They'd not even turned 2 then. So they were quite full on and jumping up and down and really excited and stuff. And it was like, oh, they're so sweet. And I remember looking at him and just thinking, oh, he's lovely. And I knew that I felt like it was the right, he was the right dog for us. But at that point, we still felt we weren't assuming anything. And we wanted to make sure that his family were happy and all of those things. So I went in and had a chat with Paul and sat down with Patch and George and gave them loads of treats and stuff. And it was really hot. It was really hot summer the year that we got him in the UK, which is rare. And Paul said, do you want to take him out for a walk? There's a canal. I knew the area quite well anyway. So just take him for a little walk down the canal and see how you get on and stuff. And I remember putting him on his lead and taking him out, and he was really confused because George wasn't going, and he was like, who's this woman who's just turned up and is taking me for a walk? And I remember he kept stopping, and he was probably just confused, and he kept stopping, and I tried to take him down the canal, and we had a little bit of a potter around, but he kept stopping and just looking really confused. And I remember like saying his name and saying, come on, Patch, and he was just like, it was like he didn't recognize me. Well, he probably didn't recognize my voice, so that's why I wasn't responding. And I was like, oh God, what if he hates me? And it was just it was lovely, but it was also like, I just had so much anxiety around the whole thing because I just wanted everything to be okay. Mm-hmm. So that was the first meeting. And I, went back, had a chat with Paul, and I was like, this is what it's been like. He's been good, but I think he's a bit hot. The weather's a bit hot. And he said, yeah, he's not very great. He doesn't really like walking much in the heat, but just wanted you to, go take him for a walk and see how he got on and stuff. And he was really well behaved and everything. He just didn't really want to walk very far. And then after that, I went and met up with Tommy, and we had a discussion about it. And he said, I remember we went and met up, and we were in like a pub beer garden, and we sat down, and I said, okay, what do you think? And he said, what do you think? And I went, I really love him and I want him. And he went, I really love him and I want him as well. And I was like, oh, thank God for that. So then it was a case of like me having a chat with Paul and saying, look, I know there are some things on your criteria of what you want for Patch that we don't match up with. We don't live locally. And there's a few things. I said, but we do, we would really love to have him if you feel that would be right for him. And obviously he sat here, so you know what the answer, you know what happened next, don't you? But yeah, that was the whole experience really. And then I went and visited a few other times. I visited him one more time, and that was me on my own, to go and see all the other family members. So his owner had died, and she had other daughters, and they wanted to meet me as well, because they all loved Patch, and they wanted to make sure that where he was going to be really well looked after and stuff. So I went in the house, and there was probably like 7 or 8 people there, and it was really emotional again. But you just want to go there and for them to feel reassured that the dog's going to have a nice life, basically. So
pretty intensive interview process.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, they were lovely, and you just want them to know that he's going to be okay, don't you? So then we went to pick him up, and we took the kids with us. And again, like the final bit was saying to Tommy's kids, so is he okay? Because we didn't have time. We lived so far away. We weren't able to bring the kids to see him beforehand. And they were like, oh, yeah, of course he's okay. So they were really pleased as well.
So how was the first car ride home, and then the first couple of weeks at home?
Oh, it was really, I felt for him, because I felt like, oh, it must be so overwhelming. He was only young. He'd only just turned 2, and it must be like, oh, he'd already been in a few different homes. So his owner had died, and then a few people in the family had looked after him, and he'd had, quite a lot of upheaval and stuff. And I did feel for him. So he was really good in the car. Just, he's so nosy. Like, he sat now like by the window. He loves looking out the window. So he's looking out the window all the way home. And then we got back to the flat that we had at the time, and we had our old dog Daisy's crate there with one of her old beds in there and stuff. So like, their noses are so strong, aren't they? And he could obviously smell that another dog had been there, and hopefully that was a bit reassuring for him, really. We had like lots of toys for him, and just tried to kind of be quiet and let him settle in and not overwhelm him by screaming and shouting and being really excited, which we all were. But at the same time, making him feel secure and stuff. So yeah, and he settled in really well, actually. He settled in quite quickly. one of the things I worried about when we first got him was I thought he couldn't hear because I'd say his name, but he didn't know my voice. So he didn't really respond. And then eventually we built on that. And obviously he knows who I am now because I've been there with him for every day near enough for 3 years. So yeah, he settled in really well actually, nice. Which was good. Yeah.
So do you have what sort of like sleeping arrangements did you have? And has that changed since you first got him?
Well, when we first got him, he would. He used to sleep in a bed in the living room when we first got him. But then he, that was the idea. But then he wouldn't. We felt like he had a little bit of anxiety, and there was lots going on and stuff. And he'd been moved around and everything. So he would come and sleep in the bedroom. He sleeps wherever he wants, right from the beginning. He will sometimes. He loves his crate, and he will sometimes. He will go and sleep in his crate sometimes, but generally he sleeps wherever he wants.
Okay. Did he ever get up into the bed?
Yes. So here you can see. I know we're only doing audio, aren't we? But here he is on the bed, and he likes to get in the bed. Now I think it's a terrier thing, and particularly a Patterdale Terrier thing, because I'm in a lot of Patterdale groups and stuff, and they always talk about like how they love getting in the bed and snuggling up next to you, and he loves that.
Nice.
He doesn't do it all the time, and if he's tired, he'll go in his crate or he'll sleep on the sofa. But he does love being on the bed and in the bed.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is no real sort of like initial issues from the move into your place?
No, he was really good. And he did settle in really well. One thing that I did do with him, because when we had the discussions with his old family, they said there were a few things that needed some support with when it came to training. One of them was recall, which is always a work in progress with a terrier. And then the other one was a little bit of impulse control and behaving around other dogs. And because I'd had our old dog, Daisy, I'd had her from her being 5, and she came from Manchester Dogs Home. She'd been a stray and been found on the streets. And she was very difficult to train. And like back then, I didn't know what I know now. I now have a lot of dog trainer contacts, so I know what can be done. But back then, that was in like 2009, I just thought I couldn't train her. So when we got Patch, we'd already had a chat with his old family about things that he needed to do, things that needed to be worked on. So what we did was we found a local trainer, behaviourist called Sue McCabe, who's over here in Newcastle, and she's amazing. She's got terriers, so she's worked with terriers, and she's just incredible. And she helped us a lot. So I had like a block of one-to-one sessions with her. And the main things that we worked on were, we did crate training because she said it'd be really good for him to have his crate as his go-to place, his quiet place, and all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's he'll go in his crate if we say go to your crate. We'd only ever close the crate if we had like a electrician round or somebody, round where we needed him to be in there. He goes in his crate when he wants a bit of downtime, and it's good for the kids to know that if he's gone in his crate, you just leave him alone. Yep. So we did crate training. We also worked on his recall, which is, still a work in progress. We did things around distractions. So if he saw another dog in the park or out walking, he would get really excited and want to go and run over to them. So we did some work around that. And we also did a little bit of impulse control, but not very much because with that, again, that needs to be worked on. He just gets really excited. But the main things were around him being around other dogs and knowing how to behave and not getting too overexcited, and recall. So it was good, actually. And I would say to anyone, I do say this quite a bit, actually, who's getting a dog, that whether it's a rescue or a puppy or whatever the situation, if you can go and find a local behaviourist or trainer and set yourself up for success right from the beginning, it's so worth investing that money, to have that good start with them. And like, I look at Patch now and I feel a bit guilty sometimes with Daisy that I didn't persevere more, but it was more because I had a really bad experience with the trainer who was really kind of aversive. And I thought all dog trainers were like that, so I just stayed away from it. Now, knowing what I know now with Patch, I would definitely recommend people do think about that, particularly when you're paying so much for a puppy nowadays.
Yes.
Spend that extra on the training and, set them up.
You mentioned going outside to the park. What are the local walks around your place like? What sort of environment is it?
We're really lucky. So we literally live like about a mile and a half away from the city centre, but you would think that you lived right out in the country. So we've got something here called the Town Moor, and it's basically this huge expanse of green space where there's some kind of really old law where cows are allowed to graze there whenever they want. So you can see like the Newcastle United football stadium when you're on there, but then in the distance and all the city centre, but then you've got this huge green space full of cows. It's mad.
Nice.
So we've got that. Then we've got the Northumberland coast, which is brilliant, like gorgeous beaches, gorgeous coastline even. We've also got a really nice park called Jesmond Dean and loads of really lovely walks and forests and lots of green space where we are. So considering we're in a city, you wouldn't think that we were when you see the kind of places that we've got nearby. So we're really lucky. It's a brilliant part of the world to live in.
Okay, and has Patch got what you would think a favoured walk?
Now, let me have a think about this. So we do sometimes take him on like freestyle walks where we just kind of decide where to go. This probably isn't great. Like any dog trainers listening are probably like, oh, you shouldn't do that really. But anyway, he just does whatever he wants, as you can probably guess. So he likes going he does like the Town Moor. That's one of his favourites. So that's where all the cows are sometimes, but at the moment they're not there. There's another really nice walk called Jesmond Dean, which is near where we live. And yeah, lots of different parks really. And he loves the beach as well. Okay. So there's a few places. I guess the nearest one to where we are, as in from our front door, would be to the Town Moor, which is like the really lovely green space.
And how is he with the cows?
Well, I can't really tell. I'd love actually. I probably should get the behaviourist to have a look at how he behaves around the cows, so they know, don't they? Like I think Patch is barking at the cows because he doesn't like them, or because he's just overexcited. But they probably know a lot more than me. But yeah, he will. I don't let him get too close to the cows because it's a bit scary, isn't it? So he will. If he gets too close, he will bark and be a bit reactive. But generally, make sure we keep a distance from them.
Okay. Nice. And on the beach, is he more of a stay on the beach dog, or is he more of a in the water dog?
Well, so he loves the beach, and he just goes like, I think there's something, I remember Daisy would be the same, like when you're walking down to the beach, they just kind of put their noses in the air and then start getting really excited, don't they? He's the same. And so he loves having his ball on the beach. He loves running around on the beach, and he does I think it is the sea air. It just makes them go a little bit crazy. So he will go in the water, but he won't go in that deep. He can swim, but I don't think he likes swimming in the sea. So he'll go in and get his legs wet and go and have a bit of a paddle, but he wouldn't go and swim in the sea. However, when we've been in the Lake District, which we've got the beautiful Lake District, not too far from where we are, we went there for a holiday earlier this summer, and he went in the lakes and he swam in the lakes and he really loved it. So, but no, he does love the beach. So he's mostly on the sand, but he will go and get his paws wet.
Mm-hmm. Do you take him on all holidays or most holidays?
Yes. We go on, unless we're getting on a plane, then the holiday is basically his holiday. And we're even fingers crossed, we're hoping to have a holiday cottage at some point and have basically get our own place to go to. But yeah, all of our holidays are kind of dog friendly, apart from if we're going abroad. And we always kind of choosing places that he likes. There's a few places that we go to over and over again. So where we live, we're not too far from the Yorkshire coast as well. And we go to this gorgeous little place called Robin Hood's Bay. And it's this really, really traditional, oldie worldy fishing village. And it's gorgeous, like tiny little cottages, like old fishermen's cottages. And there's a really nice beach there, loads of great walks. And it's near Whitby, which is like this really historic city in Yorkshire. So like loads of history, loads of heritage, and yeah, just loads of dogs as well. Everywhere's dog friendly.
Nice.
So we go there loads, and we go to the Lake District a lot as well. So yeah, we've got some really nice places that we can go to, like fairly nearby. So yeah, we are pretty spoilt for choice really, and he's always a big part of our holidays.
Oh, as they should be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, would be one of the more interesting adventures that he has accompanied you on?
Okay, let me have a think. So we do go on a lot. Oh my gosh, right, I've got to tell you about this. I think probably the most interesting adventure Patch has been on this year, and I don't know if I should tell you this, but I'm just going to tell you anyway because I've started, so I might as well. Is we went to the Lake District on a holiday twice this year, and we like he's a really young, like he's a 5-year-old terrier. He's really fit and healthy, and he loves, he's full of energy and stuff, and he loves adventures. Anyway, we decided to go up this mountain. We'd been to one part of the Lake District, and we'd had a really big walk there up a big mountain, and then so it was basically up this mountain called Coniston. Loads of different mountains and peaks in the Lake District. So we wanted to go and do another one. Anyway, there's this mountain in the Lake District called Helvellyn, and it's quite high. It's like one of the biggest in the lakes. I couldn't tell you the exact dimensions, but it's pretty big. Mm-hmm. And there were a few routes around it. So I knew that a few of my friends had been up this mountain called Helvellyn, and they'd say, I knew it was quite challenging, but I was like, well, I've been, working on my own fitness and doing my Joe Wicks videos and stuff beforehand. We'll be okay. And there's a few ways around it. One of them is called Striding Edge, and then one of them there's all these different routes. So I went on. Tommy, my boyfriend, said, "Should we do Striding Edge?" And I was like, "Okay, I want a challenge." And why not? And when we go up a big hill with Patch, I've got we do canicross. So I've got like canicross harnesses and leads and bungee leads and a belt that you put around yourself. So they're really good actually, because you can put all of your poo bags in, your phone, all the stuff that you need, a portable water bottle. You can attach it all to you, and you can walk hands-free, and you know that they're safe. So I had all my canicross gear on, and we've got a rucksack, and we've got Patch on his special harness. We know he's all right. Anyway, it turned out that Striding Edge was not very dog friendly, and it was bloody terrifying. Like there was one point where you literally kind of scrambling, and then there was this one bit where there was a drop. And there was other people there, but we did see a couple of other people with dogs, but not many. And there was this one point where we had to kind of go down this quite big drop. And the people in front of us, there were some young girls in front of us, and they started panicking a bit. And then I started panicking, and it was like, oh my God, how are we going to get this dog down this big drop? We had to like pass him down to this other walker. And while we negotiated our way down this drop, and it was a bit scary. I would say that is my most memorable adventure. And when we got to the end, Patch was fine. Like there was at one point when we were on this drop where he was looking a little bit like, oh, Mum, what am I doing here? But we got to the end and he was still raring to go. And we had a drink in the pub at the bottom there's a pub called the Traveller's Rest or something. We had a drink in there, and it was like one of the best drinks I've ever had, because we tackled this massive challenge. So yeah, I think that's our biggest adventure so far.
Nice.
And he's still here. We're all still here, thank God.
So you just mentioned that was a very one of the more scary times. Has there been another time where you've had a big sort of scare where he scared you?
No. I think it wasn't. That was more us. I think that was more a case of I wasn't quite sure what was ahead. Mm-hmm. And also because you've gone up this big peak, you can't go back, because it's harder to go back than it is to carry on. So that was scary, but that wasn't Patch scaring me. That was more me being the environment, me putting myself in a situation. Yeah. Probably shouldn't have been in, but anyway, I guess the only other time that I've been a bit scared was when we first got him and we let him. Oh gosh, I can't believe we did this, but we let him off lead in this in a forest, and he went missing for about 15 minutes, and you can imagine what we were like. I mean, he was just chasing things, scents, and it was a forest. And what I was thinking, I don't know, but I just remember me and Tommy both running around trying to find him, and I could hear my heart thumping. I was crying, because I was thinking, how on earth am I going to explain to Paul, the bloke who we've adopted him from, that we've had him for a few weeks and we've lost him? And you know what it's like when they go, and you got all these thoughts going through your head. So I think that was my other scary experience.
Every minute seems like an hour.
Yeah. It felt like forever, honestly. It probably was about 15 minutes, but it felt like about 3 weeks. It was just awful. But anyway, he came back, thank God. And you learn, don't you?
Let me guess, with a big smile saying, wow, that was fun.
Tommy found him and he was just kind of barking at something. Oh, okay. He'd obviously got the scent of something, and he never barks either. So it was like, oh God, what have we done?
Oh, that's all right. And where does he usually travel in the car? Has he got a spot in the car that's his?
Yeah, so we have like a special car crate for him, and we've also got like seat belts for him as well. So one of the other things that I do in my business is I help pet businesses get publicity and help them raise their profile. So one of my clients is a lady called Claire Harris, and she's a pet travel safety campaigner. So she's all about making sure that, pets are safe in the car. And we regularly talk about all of the research that she's found about, what happens if you're in a car and you crash and your dog's loose. I'm slightly obsessed about him being safe in the car. So he's either got a seat, he's either in the back with a seatbelt on, like a crash-tested seatbelt and harness, or he's in a crate where he's safe in his crate. And he's fine, actually. He's good traveling. If we do big journeys, then we'll obviously take him out for a little walk and stuff. But he's pretty good in the car. He does love looking out the window, but I think sometimes I just feel safer with him in his crate. So,
Talk about some like favourite toys and things. Has he had something that he's kept for a while?
Oh, okay. So his favourite thing, his favourite ball is a chuck it ball. So I don't know if you've got chuck it over in Australia,
Yes,
but
yeah,
they're brilliant. I don't know what they put in their toys, but I remember Daisy loving them as well. And I think there's some kind of smell in them that they just love, and they're brightly coloured so they don't get lost. So he loves his chuck it balls. The other thing that he's got is this, he's got this thing called a Challenger Cube, and it's like a felt cube with little sections in, and you can put treats in the different sections. And the idea is that he can, like dig out the treats. So he loves that.
Nice, yeah.
Another thing that he's got, which is what we got when we were doing his recall training, is this thing that people think is really disgusting, particularly vegans. And it's basically it's like a tug toy, but it's got like the end of it. So it's like a red line. It's like it's like basically like a red lead, but at the end of it, it's like made of rabbit fur, and it is disgusting. But when you're trying to recall train a terrier, these are the kind of things that you need to have with you, because they love it, and you can get them to chase it, and it's a game, and it's just it's going with all of their kind of natural instincts. So I would say they are his 3 favourite toys. But a couple of weeks ago, I think you might have seen it actually on LinkedIn. I did this. We've moved house recently, and my partner Tommy was clearing out the garage, and we've got all of these. We've got like a big unit with all of Patch's stuff in. Anyway, he emptied all of these different things out, put them all on the kitchen table, and the kitchen table was full of Patch's stuff basically. So he has got loads of different stuff, but the main thing he loves is a football, a tennis, or a chuck it ball, his Challenger Cube, and chasing around the rabbit thing.
Nice. So you mentioned the tug toy. Do I go and say that he likes playing tug as one of his more favourite games?
Yeah. Yeah, and swinging around on his tug toy, yeah. He likes all kind. The other thing he likes as well is so Tommy's daughters they're 10 and 14 now. So we've had him for 3 years. So they were like 7 and 11 when they got him. So one of the other things he likes is just kind of like sniffing games and hide and seek and enrichment games and that kind of thing. So we'll do,
excellent.
Particularly when we were in lockdown and we couldn't go anywhere, we do hide and seek games where we just put one of us would keep him in one room, and then we'd just go around the house and hide bits of treats and cheese and that kind of thing, so we could go and sniff it out. So just simple things really for them. They're just happy, aren't they?
I love it. Yeah, we do it as something as simple as that, and then you say it to people, but so many people don't do that, and it gives them so much fun and enjoyment, and you can do it inside, outside, and it's great for them. Yeah.
The other thing we did in lockdown is we used to make like agility courses out in the garden. So we got like a tunnel thing off Amazon, and we got some cones, and then I've got like a step that, they used to do step aerobics on in like the 1980s. So we'd use that, and we'd get various other bits and bobs out of the garage and make like little jumps for him and stuff like that. So he could just kind of go around that. And he loves learning, and just loves people playing and being engaged with him, really.
Yeah, love it. So did you notice much change when you moved into your new, the house you are now?
Well, he's moved. This is his 3rd move that he's had with us. So, and I'm really lucky. As I say, I work with a lot of dog trainers and pet professionals. So when we moved the second time, I did an interview with a behaviourist, not the one that we'd used, but another lady who's in my kind of network called Helen. And she gave me loads of advice about how to settle him in. And he was, to be honest, he's all right. He's been with us longer than he's been with us for 3 years now and he's 5. So he spent most of his life with us now. And I think as long as we're here with him, he's all right. We don't hardly ever leave him on his own. It's very, very rare. And when we were kind of in between moving, he would be, like when we were moving all of our stuff and painting and that kind of thing, sometimes he'd come with us so we could just kind of be gradually introduced to the new house. So yeah, he has adapted really well actually to the move. And we've moved just up the road from where we were, so the actual area is all the same.
Okay,
it's just a different house.
Familiar with it. Yep, nice.
Yeah.
Would you say he has any sort of peculiar habits?
Oh, let me have a think. He doesn't really have any funny habits. He just does this thing where he doesn't really bark very much, but he does like this kind of woo-wooing where he kind of makes like a kind of woo-woo-woo noise. And that, I think, is his most peculiar thing. And he doesn't kind of do it I couldn't say like, oh, he does it every time someone comes to the door, or he does it, when this happens. I guess he just kind of does it when he's excited and stuff.
Okay.
But he's just like lay here, hasn't he, while we've been chatting. He's not even moved. He's a really good little dog. But yeah, the only other peculiar thing he does is he really doesn't like huskies. And I was talking to somebody else about this because I was doing a Q&A with somebody and they said, oh, what does he not like? And one of the things was huskies. And I'm not quite sure why it is. He's just a bit strange with that breed.
Okay. Does he have any close doggy friends?
Well, I've got loads of friends who've got dogs, but they're kind of scattered all over the place. But his favourite dog at the moment is this dog called Spencer, who is a big black Labrador, and he lives on this kind of street parallel to where we are. And quite often he'll walk, like his owner basically lets him walk off lead as, walking around the streets. He's quite well trained. He won't just go and run in the road and stuff. So sometimes he'll see Spencer walk past out the window and then he'll be going absolutely crazy. So I'll just grab him and go and try and follow Spencer wherever he's going. But yeah, he's his favourite dog at the moment, like his favourite buddy. And I know this might make me sound a bit stalkerish on Spencer and his owner, but I know that he goes to the field at 7:00 in the morning every morning. So if I can, I will get to the field for 7:00, depending on what I've got going on. But he loves Spencer and he will go. He just, like once I was on the field with him and I'd not seen Spencer go around the corner with his owner and he must have been walking away just as we got to the field. Anyway, he obviously saw him, probably smelt him as well, and just shot off. I went, thankfully it was early, so there wasn't any traffic on the road, but he just went running off after him. And then I know the same thing has happened when Tommy's been out walking Patch and then Spencer's seen him and he will literally like just come over and like send you flying. So that's his favourite dog, his kind of favourite friend, and they just run around being crazy together.
Okay. So he sort of had much interaction with any other animal species?
Not really, no. He's an only dog. He's not a massive fan of cats. So they'll kind of come to the garden and then run away. And then the other thing that we've got at the moment, I've not seen him for a while actually. He's got a little wild rabbit that keeps coming in our garden. Mm-hmm. And where we live, I know you can't really see, but actually, yeah, you can see out the window, can't you? So we're in kind of square of semi-detached houses and all the gardens back onto each other. And I was making some breakfast one day and I saw Patch looking out the window. Saw this little, and he was getting really excited and saw this little baby rabbit in the garden. So we know when the rabbit's been in the garden because there's obviously rabbit poo there, and he will go out and he'll like be running around trying to find the rabbit. But we also know that the rabbit is safe because this little rabbit can get under the fences and he's always going in and out of all the different gardens. So yeah, that's his kind of interaction with other animals. He's not also a little bit funny with horses as well. He will go and if we see a horse in the distance, he's straight back on his lead because he will go and try and chase them. And I don't think that would be that would be very good.
I'm going to ask you to complete the sentence. I can't believe my dog ate.
Oh, okay. This isn't going to surprise you, but it's cow poo.
Cow poo. Okay. Yep.
So when we go on the town moor, if there's a fresh cow pat, he will try and eat it. So luckily he's on his lead if he's on the time more and the cows are there, because I don't want him chasing them. But he has nibbled on a cow pat before, and I'm like, oh my God, that's disgusting. And I've got a vet contact who said, and I asked him about why dogs eat cow pats. And he said, obviously there's like, all the nice green grassy stuff in there. But he said, but also you've got to be really careful, because if the cows have got any kind of illnesses and conditions, then it can be passed on to your dog. So you do need to be careful. So I do keep him away from the cow poo. But our old dog Daisy, she used to be the same. She used to eat sheep poo. So yeah, they just, to be honest, he's really good. He doesn't eat. He's not like our old terrier. She used to love rolling in poo and all kinds of horrible things. He's actually really good. He doesn't really scavenge. But yeah, the cow poo thing, I'd say that's the only bad thing that he does when it comes to eating horrible things.
Okay. So you mentioned the vet. How's his overall health been? And has there been any sort of issues that you've had to go to the vet for?
He's always been really, really good. But it was really strange because at the beginning of lockdown, he started having I don't know why I say at the beginning of lockdown, but that's just the time when it happened. He started having ear infections, and he had a recurring ear infection. And then he had an eye infection, and he also had a bit of a skin infection. And we went to the vets and had various different allergy tests, and it was quite stressful because we couldn't go in with him. And he's not a massive fan of the vets. So he was having all these different tests. And then it's weird because like they come back with various things that he might be reacting to. And there wasn't really anything coming up. So they figured out it must be something dietary. So he went on this diet basically, which is some kind of, I can't remember what it's called. It's basically like a Royal Canin allergy diet. And it just looks like some kind of pate. And he really enjoyed his food before. And when we put him on this diet, he wasn't really very happy, but we had to eliminate what was making him poorly. And it turned out that it was chicken and like poultry. Okay. So he's now back on regular dog food and, tasty stuff, but he just can't have anything poultry related. Mm-hmm. But other than that, he's been, touch wood, he's good, he's healthy and stuff. So that's been the only bump in the road really, but we did get to the bottom of it in the end.
Nice. If I asked you to say one of the most funniest moments you can think of, does anything pop into your head?
Oh, funny things that Patch has done. He must have done loads of funny things, and now my mind has gone completely blank.
Oh, that's all right.
I'll tell you what he does. I'll tell you one of the funniest things he did, and this is going back to I can't believe what my dog ate. You see, we were in the pub, and it was just after lockdown had finished, and we'd go to this, and the pubs were open again. We go to this pub down the road from us called the Brandling Villa. And I know I'm saying this like you might come and visit and you're in Australia, but anyway.
Yeah, one day.
Anyone in England who's in Newcastle, you need to go to the Brandling Villa. It's this really good pub. And they do like a dog menu. So they do like doggy meals and stuff. And it's really great. Anyway, not been in there for ages and he loves this pub. And whenever he goes in there, he knows his friends are going to be in there and all that. And he gets dead excited. And this pub is so dog friendly. Instead of having like table numbers, they'll say like, I'm on Patch table or I'm on Barney's table, and there'll be a photo of a dog and the table will be called the dog's name. Yeah. Anyway, it's really good. So he goes in the pub and he's dead excited and he's doing his woo-wooing. So he's like announcing to the whole pub that he's there. And then Tommy came back from the bar with our drinks, and I had like half a cider. He had some lager and the kids had like soft drinks. Then the next minute, and this is really unusual for Patch, but he jumped up on the table, started drinking out of my glass of cider. So that was quite funny. I've forgotten about that. So thank you for reminding me. But I think he was just like celebrating being back in the pub.
At the pub, yes. Well, can I have a drink?
Yeah. Definitely.
Nice. What about one of the most proudest moments?
Okay. Well, I think one of the most proud moments, I think, has been something that's happened quite recently. So my partner, Tommy, his dad's really poorly. He's got Parkinson's and it's end of life care. So it's really, it's a difficult time. And Patch has been so brilliant with him. So he's not like a therapy dog or anything like that. And he's normally like really lively and he's quite full on. But with Tommy's dad, I was on holiday a few weeks ago and Tommy left had his mum and dad look after Patch for us for a few days when he was working. And one of the things he did was he went and looked after Baxter, and he would just go and sit on his bed with him or lie next to him and just be calm and really well behaved. And like, there's some photos that Tommy shared with me of him with his dad, and it was just like, that made me feel really proud. So I thought that was really lovely, because they know how to behave, don't they? They know how to be with people when they're not well and what people need. And I guess that's when it really hit home that, they are intuitive. And yeah, I was really proud of him. He's just a lovely boy, bless him. So that, I guess, is one of my proudest moments.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. No, they certainly are intuitive. There's so much that they can read, and particularly they can sniff about people's body chemistry, and they can sense a lot of things from that, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So anything else sort of coming to mind that you'd like to share about Patch?
When I was thinking about what to chat about, when I was preparing before we hit record, I was thinking about, I guess, our dogs sadly don't have long lives today. If we could let them live forever, that would be amazing. But I think one of the things that I love about having a dog, and with him as well, is, I guess, just making their life as full as you can, really, and giving them different experiences and trying different things with them, and taking them to different places and activities and adventures. And I think there's never been a better time, really, has there, to be a dog owner. And whatever your kind of age or ability or lifestyle, there's something out there that you and your dog can really enjoy. And the same goes for your dog as well. Whatever their age, ability and lifestyle, there's something out there that they can try and really enjoy. So like, we've been really lucky because I have the blog, and because I work as a journalist and I write about the pet industry. Over the years, I've tried like so many different activities with Patch and Daisy as well, from going to see a personal shopper for them, to doing parkour, to doing things like canine hoopers. I've done dog Pilates, dog yoga, all kinds of things. And I just think, that's part of being, one of the great things about having a dog, isn't it? And enjoying life with them and finding things that they really like and making them happy.
So you just mentioned a couple of things. So you did dog yoga, and that was obviously with Patch?
That was kind of online, but yeah, that was with Patch. Yeah. And I did Pilates. I did a Pilates session that was face to face. That was really good. Okay. And a lot of the stuff that we did with that, I was able to bring home and do at home. And that's what we do when we do his little kind of adventure agility courses. We do stuff that we did at the dog Pilates.
Because I know you mentioned earlier you had some canny gear, so you've done some like canny hiking and events with Patch as well, or?
Yeah, I've not done any events with. Oh, actually, no, that's a lie. I did the Muddy Dog Challenge, which is the Muddy Dog Challenge is a charity event by Battersea Dogs Home, which is a big animal charity here in the UK, and it's basically where you go and it's like a tough mudder with your dog, but it's not that long. It's only like 5 kilometres. It's like an assault course and a run that you do with your dog. Oh. So I did that with him. I did that with him the first year that we had him, so we're coming up for 3 years ago. And then I do canicross with him. I say I do it, like I don't compete or anything like that. I literally just plod along behind him, and he loves it. He loves being around other dogs, and he loves running. So when he gets there, he's just so excited. So I did it last night, actually, and I'm a little bit achy today. But yeah, the canicross I really enjoy, and it's something he really loves as well.
Oh, it's another underrated area of what I think personally is just getting them going out, having a run, and they get to run with you. It's like best friends, just going out and enjoying more than walking.
Yeah. Yeah, we go out on our own canicrossing, and then we go out with a group as well, like a really friendly group up here. So that's really good. He loves it.
Ah, excellent. Do you want to let people know where to find you and what you do for your business?
Yeah, sure. No, that'd be brilliant. Thank you. So the best place to find me is on social media. So I'm at Rachel Spencer UK on all platforms. I also have a pet blog, which I'll mention here. It's a little bit neglected, but I do want to get it going again. But you can read loads if you want to find out about any of the activities that I've talked about, actually. I will have written about them all on my pet blog. So that is called www.thepawpost, as in PAW, post.co.uk. I am hoping to start blogging regularly again. as we go into the next year, really, I've had to take a bit of time out because I've been really busy with my other business. But yeah, I talk all about the adventures that we do. I've even got his training diaries on there, actually, where I talk about the different training that we did. And I'm hoping I basically use the blog to kind of shine a light on interesting things that are going on, and also on people who are doing really great things with our pets as well. So go and check me out there. I think it's probably the best place for people to go to and find out more about Patch.
Excellent. Rachel, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you and hearing all about Patch. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you so much too. It's been lovely talking about him. We could never talk too much about our dogs, can we? So thanks so much for having me on the show, Robert.
No, absolute pleasure. I'll look forward to catching up a bit later. Take care.
Oh, thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much for listening. I hope that you enjoy the show. Thank you to our new listeners in Gunzenhausen in Germany and Mountain View in the US. And if you'd like to contact me here at the show, probably the easiest way to do it is via the Facebook group. Until next week, stay safe and remember, your dog is family.